Let's now discuss how the efforts of uh, Deen has started recently when Ilyas Rahmatullah stood up with that, and what he commented on these efforts. According to him, it was the revival of the effort of Sahaba radiallahu anhu. He used to say that it's the diamond of the first age, of the first age of Muslims. So the first age definitely means the period of Sahaba radiallahu anhu. So the efforts of Sahaba radiallahu anhu is again given now. So that's actually the revival of the efforts of Sahaba. About the revival, I'll say a little, few more things later. But let me first tell you how it started. Uh, I mean, uh, recently. At the time of Ilyas Rahmatullah. Uh, well, before I do that, let me uh, talk about the efforts of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam before and after the reception of Nabuwa. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had a very high level, extraordinary high level of figure for people, concern for people. And he was in a place in the world where the oppression was too much. All the crimes and oppressions, all these things were around him, and this even, this further uh, increased his concern about what might happen to people, okay, and what he might do about them. He then found that, well, there are some efforts, some good efforts to remove this sort of oppression or crime from the society, and but that effort he found uh, pretty much mitigated in a mitigated state. Okay, but he found that some people who, most of whom had the in part of their names with Fajal, started an effort, a good effort, and that effort was called Hilful Fujul. Okay. So the purpose was to remove crime or other bad things from the society. So uh, then Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, stood up with this effort, Helpful Fujul, when he was 17. Okay, and Abu Bakr then also joined him, and they worked a lot. Okay, they kept doing the effort. So Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did the efforts of Hilful Fujul until 40. So how long was that? From 17 through 40, 23 years. Okay. At the age of 40, he was bestowed upon uh, Nabuwa, and then he started a different effort. Okay. Hilful Fujul was a man-made effort, but when he received Nabuwa, he was given a divine method of efforts. Then he started doing this new effort and did it until 63, okay, when he passed away. So how long did he run this new effort? Again 23, okay. So Allah has made both of them equal in size and showed what might be the effect of these two between the man-made and the divine method. Okay. And we know that compared to the later, there was, almost no good effect from the earlier one, helpful fujil, right? And Allah said about this change of effort, wajadaka dhallan fahada. meaning that didn't I give you hidayah or the right path when I found you dull or in the wrong path, right? Wala dalin, who are in the wrong path. So didn't I give you right path, hidayah, finding you in the wrong path, dull. So Allah is saying that was dull, wrong path, which Rasulullah used, but before getting Nubuwwah, and he used that for 23 years. But after getting this divine effort, he kept it doing, and he never did the old effort even for a single moment. You know, even for a single second, or I mean, he didn't do the effort of Hilful Fujur again, never in his life. He just kept doing until he died the the new divine method of the new efforts, okay, for which the method is divine. Okay, now let's look at what happened to Hazrat Ilyas Rahmatullah alayhi. He also had very high level of concern for people, okay, and he was in India where there are too much worshippers and all that, okay? And around him, I mean, the ugly things, okay, were too much. The nasty form of uh, activities was too much. So that further increased his concern. And he often used to say, "Main kya karu? Main kya karu? Main kya karu? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do?" Okay. So he was, but anyway, he what he could do, he did the effort of madrasa. He used the method of madrasa and worked very hard for a long period of time. Out of his concern, he worked very hard and established many madrasas. I actually forgot, but it was probably more than 100. Okay, maybe 152 or something. Okay, I don't remember now. But he established so many madrasas, and he, worked very hard in this area. Okay, he tried to, with the hope that it might help people rectify. Okay, but the aftermath was not satisfactory. He was not at all satisfied with the consequences after this long efforts. He was also a sane person, a peer or something. He also worked in that track, and again with the consequence, he was not satisfied at all, and he felt that it was considering his responsibility, he was not able to do the the, the right thing or do anything at the satisfactory level. Okay. So he really got very upset, so upset that he decided to leave India and go to Medina and spend there until his last moment, until he breathes his last in Medina, close to the Kubur or Roja of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Why is that? Uh, because Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam explained the responsibility over all people in the world. So any of us is made responsible for everybody else in the world. But he felt that he actually failed to do anything for people. So just he wanted to apologize, okay, over the rest of his life, staying close to the Raja of Rasulullah. So he left India and went there. Over there, as he was staying, he dreamed um, that um, some good news is for him. There is some good news for him, and he wasn't sure what that good news was. Okay. And he also dreamed that some work will be taken from you. Okay, some work will be taken from you. That made him really worried. Okay, what I should do? He became very worried. So he talked to Said Ahmed Madani Rahmatullah alayhi, who was the elder brother of Hussein Ahmed Madani Rahmatullah alayhi. Said Maulana Said had a madrasa over there in Medina. He talked to him, and Said Rahmatullah said that, why are you worried? It said, the dream said that the work will be taken from you. It didn't say that do this work, and it didn't say that this work was given to you, why didn't you do that? It rather said that some work will be taken from you. So since someone will take the work from you, he will actually take care of, he will look at how the work can be taken. You don't have to be worried. Okay, it said that the work will be taken from you, so someone will take it from you. So it's his concern who will take it from you. You don't have to be worried. Okay, then here he dreamed Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was saying, "Tum itna pereshan kyun? Why are you so worried?" Okay, because I was explaining, right, how worried he was. Okay, so after the conversation with Sayyid Rahmatullah, he dreamed Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked him, "Why are you so worried?" He said that the condition of Ummah is deteriorating day by day. Ilyas Rahmatullah replied. Then Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "You start to do the same work which my Sahaba radiallahu anhum did 1300 years ago." What did he say? You start to do the same work which my companions did 1300 years ago. Then Ilyas Rahmatullah in his dream grabbed Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with his hands and said that, "I don't know the work of Sahaba radiallahu anhum. I didn't see Sahaba radiallahu anhum. So please don't leave me without teaching me that work." Okay? And thereafter Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told him something, and few other things happened which actually I cannot share with you um, because it's something confidential. Okay, but at the, at the end of this confidential part, what happened? Ilyas Rahmatullah alayhi decided to come back to India, and he came back with the same level of hope, and he was very upset when he left India, and he came back to India again with a lot of spirit, just in an opposite condition. With a lot of spirit, he came back to India and he started this effort. Once he started, until his last moment, he kept doing it, and he never did the old effort even for a single moment. Okay, so he, uh, I mean, after coming back to India, all of a sudden he started these efforts, and until he breathed his last, he did that without any break. Okay, and for even a single second, he didn't do the old effort. Do you remember what that old effort was? The effort of madrasa. He never did that even for a single moment. Now, can you compare this whole history of Ilyas Rahmatullahi with the story of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam?
Yes.
Can you put them side by side, and compare?
Yes.
Do they match well?
Yes.
Okay. Let me also tell you um, that I told you about the changes in the local context and in the global context. Okay, when Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam started the Masjid Bid efforts. Similarly, when Ilyas Rahmatullahi started the Masjid Bid efforts, there was effects locally and both locally and globally. Like the Indian subcontinent was under the British control. It was a British colony when he started. Okay, and many other almost Muslims are colonized everywhere in the world, right? Locally, India was released from the British authority. So that was the local effect. Like in, I mean, uh, Medina, they own over the Kuffars, and globally, Romans also own. So here, I mean, well, you can argue that Romans were not Muslims, but they are not Muslims. But that was somehow good for Muslims. The victory of Romans was somehow good for Muslims. Now here, locally, you see, India was released, and globally, all other Muslim states almost, okay, were also released, like Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, many African countries. I mean, you should know better than I do. And okay, some of them were, I mean, uh, a colony for several hundred years, maybe 200 or even 250 years, or maybe even 300 years. Okay. So after this whole long period, 200 to 300 years, it was released when this work started. After this work started, after Masjid Bid efforts, not immediately after this work started, but but gradually, Masjid Bid efforts was established and got maturity like Fi Bidi Sinin, and then the local and global effects were achieved.